Your car is at the shop. Then the phone rings. We found the problem. The repair will be $1,800. And now you have to decide what to say. Most people immediately ask one of two things. How much will it cost? Or, when can you fix it? But before you approve any expensive car repair, there are 5 much more important questions you should ask. And no, you do not need to be a mechanic. You do not need your own scan tool. You do not need to understand every part under the hood. Think of this as a simple car repair checklist you can use anytime a mechanic gives you a repair estimate. Because an expensive repair can be completely justified, but an expensive repair based on an incomplete diagnosis can turn into an expensive guess. So before you say yes to that repair quote, start here. What exactly is wrong? That sounds obvious, but listen carefully to the answer. There is a big difference between your check engine light says you need a catalytic converter and we tested the system, compared the oxygen sensor data, checked for misfires and exhaust leaks, and the converter is no longer working efficiently. Those answers are not the same. A trouble code can point a technician in the right direction, but a code is not automatically a parts list. And this matters with a lot of car repairs. A car that will not start does not automatically need a starter. A charging warning does not automatically mean the alternator has failed. A misfire code does not automatically mean the ignition coil is bad. And an oxygen sensor code does not always mean the oxygen sensor itself is the problem. So if someone tells you a part needs to be replaced, ask a simple question. What exactly did you find wrong with it? You are not challenging the technician. You are asking them to explain the diagnosis in plain English. And a good mechanic diagnosis should make sense when it is explained clearly. Now comes the question that may save you the most money. What proves it? This is where the conversation gets much more useful. Imagine the shop says you need an alternator. Okay, what was the charging voltage? Did the alternator fail an output test? Was the battery tested too? Was there a bad cable or connection? You do not need to know what the perfect voltage should be. That is not the point. The point is that there should be some reason behind the diagnosis. Maybe they measured something. Maybe they found a visible leak. Maybe a component has excessive play. Maybe a pressure test failed. Maybe the scan data clearly shows something abnormal. Maybe there is physical damage you can actually see. Whatever it is, there should be evidence connecting the problem to the repair. And if the explanation is simply, the computer said so, that is a good time to ask another question. Be honest. If a shop called you right now with a $2,500 repair estimate, would you know what evidence to ask for? Most people would not. And that is exactly why this matters. Now, let's say the shop does have evidence. Good. But we are not done yet. Ask this. Could something else cause the same problem? This question is important because cars are full of systems that affect each other. A rough idle could come from an ignition problem, a vacuum leak, a fuel delivery problem, a sensor issue, or something mechanical. A no-crank condition might be the starter, but it could also be the battery, a bad battery connection, a ground problem, a relay, a switch, or a control circuit issue. So you are not asking the mechanic to give you every possible cause. You are asking something simpler. What did you rule out before deciding this is the repair? That one question can tell you a lot about how deep the diagnosis went. Here is a good way to think about it. A strong diagnosis does not only explain why one part looks bad, it also explains why the most likely alternatives do not fit. And there is another trap here that many drivers never think about. The shop may have found a real problem, but it may not be the problem you came in for. Let's say your complaint was a vibration at highway speed. The shop finds a worn engine mount. That mount may genuinely be worn, but does it explain a vibration that appears only around 65 miles per hour? Maybe, maybe not. So ask, will this repair fix the problem I came in for? That question keeps the conversation focused on your original complaint. Because finding something wrong with the car is not always the same as finding what caused your symptom. Now let's move to the question that changes how quickly you need to make a decision. Do I need to fix this now? Not every repair has the same urgency. Some problems can become dangerous very quickly. A serious brake issue, severe tire damage, loss of oil pressure, major overheating, a large fluid leak, a steering problem that affects control. Those are very different from a minor seep, early wear, or something that can reasonably be monitored for a while. So if the shop recommends a repair, ask, "What happens if I wait?" That question is incredibly useful. If the answer is, "The brake pads are almost gone, and if you keep driving, you can damage the rotors and reduce braking performance," now you understand the risk. If the answer is, "It is beginning to wear, but it is safe to monitor and recheck at the next service," that is a very different decision. You are trying to separate three things: what needs attention now, what needs repair soon, and what is simply being recommended. Those three categories should not feel the same, and you should not feel pressured to treat them the same. At this point, you know what the problem is. You know it supports the diagnosis, you know what else was considered, and you know how urgent it is. Now ask the final big question: what exactly am I paying for? And if you want more help before saying yes to a repair, I created my complete Car Problem Diagnosis Toolkit for regular car owners. It brings together step-by-step symptom checklists, repair decision guides, and practical questions to help you understand what is actually being recommended. So the next time a mechanic gives you an estimate, you have something clear to work through before you spend the money. You'll find the toolkit link below. This is where a car repair estimate can suddenly become confusing. You might see the price of the part, labor, diagnostic time, fluids, programming, alignment, shop fees, additional hardware, and sometimes the final bill ends up higher than the number you first heard. So before approving the repair, ask what is included. What part are they installing? Is it original equipment, aftermarket, remanufactured, or used? What warranty comes with it? Does the estimate include everything normally required to finish the job? And one of my favorite questions is this: is there anything you expect could change this estimate once you start? Because sometimes there is. A rusted fastener may break. Another damaged component may only become visible after disassembly. Additional programming may be required. That does not automatically mean the shop did anything wrong, but knowing the possibilities before work begins can prevent a very unpleasant phone call later. There is one more question I would add when the repair is expensive. If I approve this, what should be different when I get the car back? This forces the repair to connect to a result. If the problem is a wheel bearing making a loud growling noise, that noise should be gone. If the repair is supposed to correct a misfire, the engine should run normally, and the misfire should no longer be present. If you came in because the car pulls while braking, the repair should address that complaint. You are not asking for a guarantee that no other problem will ever appear. You are simply making sure everyone agrees on what this repair is supposed to accomplish. Now, there are times when you should slow the decision down. If the diagnosis is vague, if an expensive part is being replaced only because of a trouble code, if nobody can explain what testing was done, if the recommended repair does not seem connected to your complaint, if several expensive parts are being suggested with language like, "We can try this first," or if you feel pressured to approve immediately, but nobody can explain why the repair is urgent, that does not automatically mean the shop is dishonest. Cars can be difficult to diagnose. Intermittent problems can be especially frustrating, and even experienced technicians can reach different conclusions. But when thousands of dollars are involved, getting a second opinion on a car repair can be completely reasonable, especially before replacing a transmission, an engine, a major hybrid component, or another very expensive assembly. So when that repair estimate lands in front of you, do not try to remember 20 different things. Remember 5 questions. What exactly is wrong? What proves it? Could something else cause the same problem? Do I need to fix it now? And what exactly am I paying for? That is your car repair checklist. 5 questions. That is it. Those 5 questions can turn a confusing repair conversation into a much clearer decision. And notice what you are not doing. You are not telling the mechanic how to do the job. You are not diagnosing the car from your phone. And you are not automatically assuming the shop is trying to rip you off. You are simply asking enough questions to understand the repair before you spend your money. And I am curious about something. What is the biggest car repair quote you have ever been given? You do not need to name the shop. Just tell me what the repair was and roughly how much they quoted you. $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 or more? Drop it in the comments. I think some of those repair bills are going to surprise people. And if you are looking at a repair estimate right now, remember this: you do not need to diagnose the car yourself. And if you want these kinds of repair checks ready whenever you need them, my complete Car Problem Diagnosis Toolkit is linked below. You just need to understand the diagnosis you are paying for. So do not panic. Do not immediately say yes. And do not immediately assume the shop is wrong either. Ask the 5 questions first, then make the decision.